At the planning stage, we will make a script. This will outline what you want to cover and in what order, and it will help you decide what your video will look like overall when it's finished. The script helps us to plan what we're going to do on the day when we come to film you so that we can get everything that we need. Scripting allows you to decide exactly what you want to say and how you want to say it. In general, for good quality videos, you want to keep the length to less than 12 minutes, probably somewhere between 6 and 8 minutes overall for the best viewer retention. There's a few things that go into making a successful video. The components of a video are A-roll, which is the skeleton, how we tell the story. The B-roll, which is the extra footage that helps the story along and keeps it visually stimulating. This creates a change of pace between sections of the video and helps keep it more dynamic. Then there's extras and effects that we can add to make the video really shine. For the A-roll, our favourite style is the talking head. Think a news reporter with the head and shoulders visible in the shot. It gives you that feeling that someone is talking to you. You get eye contact, you get body language, and it's a little bit more personal. This can be done in an informal way in someone's living room, and it can feel quite relaxed, or it can be done in a much more formal way, for example, in an office. We usually set this up leaving a bit of space around the presenter to allow us to add in some text, pictures, and extras in post-production. If you've got your script memorised and you're happy with what you're doing, we'll just let you go for it. However, if you're needing a little bit of help, that's absolutely fine. We can do it as an interview style and then cut out the questioner later, or you can keep the questioner if it helps with the flow of the video. We can also help you get over being camera shy by hyping you up on the day. Don't worry about any of the ums and ahs. If something's messed up, we can just do the take over again. If you really don't want to be on the camera, we can present for you. We've got very confident presenters and actors who've done this many, many times. We have other styles of videos available as well, such as A-rolls with narration, which really suits procedures. In those, you would see the procedures being done and hear the narration as an audio clip over the top. Or we can do them as a series of clips. For example, a bit from each team member to build up an overall picture or story. Normally we'll have a setup with a number of lights and usually at least 2 cameras so that we can flip between different camera angles. That helps it feel like a more natural conversational piece. We also have a teleprompter that we can use so that you can read your script as you're being filmed and you don't have to remember big chunks of information.
Now, once you've got the A-roll covered, that's the vast majority of your video done. However, no matter how good a presenter you are, adding extra shots, text, pictures, sound effects, diagrams, they only demonstrate and emphasize your point and add to viewer engagement. They help you get the point across in the cleanest way possible. So this is B-roll. B-roll can either be layered on top of the A-roll, which is still running, or it can be used as a complete cutaway whilst the A-roll is paused. It's really useful when making a video for a number of reasons. First, it can help us develop the tone and style that you've requested, no matter whether that's calm and clinical or happy and bouncy. Careful use of graphics to make sure that important points are emphasized without distracting from the rest of the content allows us to provide the professional finish. B-roll also helps us guide the viewer through various sections of the video, using cutaways to symbolize section changes. And finally, B-roll gives us something to hide behind. In order to manipulate the A-roll, getting rid of the ums, the ahs, the mistakes, the pauses, ultimately, it makes you sound as professional as possible. We'll help you plan your B-roll prior to the filming day, making sure everything is prepped to the highest possible standard. As well as in-situ filming of B-roll, we have access to a wealth of stock footage, and access to this is included in our prices.
So you've got your A-roll, which is the skeleton of your video, and you've got your B-roll, which is kind of fleshing things out and giving you a bit more cover for the areas where you've needed to cut things out of your A-roll. The next thing that we need to do is go into the post-production stage and flesh out the video with all of the things that's going to make your audience feel something. The first thing that we'll do is color correction, where we make all of the different camera angles look the same. There's nothing worse than having an attempt at a professional production where you've got lots of camera angles and lots of things changing, but the two things don't really add up, and you can really see that things haven't been thought through in as much detail as they should have been. So once all of your camera angles are synced together, we can cut back and forth between angles really quickly. The next thing that we want to do is give your video a feel to it, and we do this in a number of ways. We can do this first of all in the way that we balance the colours that are in your video. There's a huge difference comparing something that's pretty desaturated and pretty dark and gloomy to something that's really bright that pops out of the screen at you. We also frame your video with background music or with sound effects, and this means that whenever something's moving or changing on the screen, it feels more organic because it comes with the sort of sound that you'd expect it to come with. This applies whether we're moving the camera particularly quickly, whether we're transitioning from one frame into another, or whether we're introducing new elements onto the screen. We'll quite commonly have things like annotations coming in from the side and pointing out the areas of interest to the viewer, or having titles come up from the bottom, which are called lower thirds, which are effectively just ways to provide some background, usually to introduce the person by name and by job title, or perhaps to provide a link or further information. When it all comes together, between colour and sound and the way that we've cut things together and how quickly we've moved from frame to frame, a video can feel very differently. For example, I'm not saying anything particularly ominous to you right now, but there's definitely a degree of tension, and that's the way that we've cut this together. Whereas if I continue to speak at the same pace, looking at the same camera, in the same room, with the same lights, with completely different approach to the post-production process, we can have a very different viewing experience. These are all slightly niche topics, and these are effects and processes that you won't be familiar with, and we don't expect you to be. We can talk you through this. The video planning tool is on our website, and that gives you some boxes and some basic questions to answer and fill in that give us an idea of what kind of feel you're looking for and what kind of mood you're trying to impart on the people that look at your video. That is enough for us to go on. Of course, once we have made our draft, if there's something that you don't like, you get a round of re-edits. So if something isn't quite right, I'm more than happy to change that. We can work through each of these processes with you step by step, and if any of this doesn't make sense, we're more than happy to take a driving seat to kind of guide that for you if you're really not certain, or to just do our best to facilitate exactly what it is that you have in mind. I'd really recommend our video planning tool to you as a scripting guide. It gives you a rough idea of what it is that we're looking for, and it'll just help us with the planning process so that we can make sure that the finished product is exactly what you have in mind. We appreciate that it's quite difficult to articulate what you're imagining if you're not used to this process. It's also useful to have a look at our portfolio page where we've got some examples of previous work, and you'll notice that there's a wide variety in the kind of feel that we've gone for, from very cool and clinical to very upbeat and energetic. If you have any questions about how to prepare your video script or what all of these different elements mean or how you can best use them, get in touch with us at info@aberdeenmedicalmedia.com, and we'd love to hear from you.